What is going on, everyone? My name is Boit, and I'm back with some more Age Mythology, the build order action. Had the pleasure of actually doing this kind of live in a 3v3 today, so I thought I may as well do an overdub of voice afterwards. This is a build utilized by Ra and by Set. I feel like Set's a little bit more consistent with this build. Ra's still very, very strong if you get a good map. So the basic premise of this build is to get enough pressure on the map that you feel safe teching. It also hard counters certain meta builds like fast second town center shenanigans, because you're so aggressive, you're so quick, and you're going to get a lot of really, really good damage done. So the first part of this build is your first 3 villagers come to food. That's very, very important. And then we put 2 villagers over onto gold. I think this is kind of where Egyptian players should be going just in general, even if you're not going for this kind of build. Just on the fact that you get the temple out really, really quickly with only 1 villager building it. It means you get more resources overall. It means you can get a lot of really cool stuff. And this opening is really good for both fast second town center as well as 1 town center strategies. So we are scouting around with our pharoah. Our pharoah's goal is to find herdables, and basically that's it. You do have to be careful when you place the mining camp down. Your villager will run back to the town center because he gets his 10th load too quick, and I'm terrible at the game and missed that in this game, but it doesn't matter too much. It just slows your temple down a touch, which can be a bit sad. So yeah, you find a relic, pick it up, but mostly you're looking for herdables. On the map Frozen Wastes, for example, you're going to have a lot of success finding herdables around the back of your base. Finding those herdables is going to be really, really good, because it's going to become apparent why it's really important to get these herdables a little bit later in the build. So after you put 2 villagers onto gold, the rest of our villagers up to 8, the next 8 villagers. So we're going up to a total of 8, not the next 8 villagers, next whatever it is, 5 villagers are going to put onto food. It doesn't matter when you get this house up, so long as you get this house up before you get housed. This villager that builds the house will then go over to food, so it's part of your 8. If you're going for a fast second town center, this is going to be where we veer off from this build slightly. Instead of putting villagers over onto wood, we will put villagers onto gold. It's very simple, but with this build staying 1 town center, we're going to be putting villagers over onto wood. Now, this is simply to get our upgrades. We don't have to go crazy on this. We are going to be wanting to get Shaduf. We're going to be wanting to get Husbandry. We're going to be wanting to get Pickaxe. Potentially Shaft Mine a little bit later will be very, very useful as well. So I have to be very, very aware of those things coming in and get them as fast as you can. This is all about hyper efficiency and pushing really, really tight timings on certain things. So temple's coming up. This villager probably jumps over onto gold after he finishes, or actually keeps building the houses. This villager after the temple keeps getting the houses. And he will also get you your monument as well when you advance. And that'll be good for you. The priest can jump over onto the gold instead of staying on the food at this point. You're going to want to get that extra bonus economy anyways, and a little bit of force dumping just to make sure we advance. You should be looking at about 402 if you do it perfectly. Because we're playing Ra and not Set, we are a little bit less consistent, so we might be a little bit late. This build, I think in this game, I didn't nail it to crash hot. And because we've advanced so fast, and this is the beauty of this, because we've advanced so fast, it means we're going to be able to get out really, really early military to defend our hunt, which means unlike the other situations where Egyptians probably not going to be able to get their hunt, we will be able to get it, so we can move out into the middle of the map completely guilt-free or risk-free, I should probably say, in order to grab that situation in the middle of the map that you want. So you can see we have we do have some kind of back hunt, but I decided to go to the forward hunt. Would be a little bit better. I can see I found the walrus, so we're going to jump up there and grab those, and that's going to be fantastic for us. We'll check out the barracks, and we're going to be making some spearmen. Now, this is where it's really important. You don't want to overmake spearmen. I only make 5 initially, so 5 spearmen straight away. and they go scouting, and we're going to be scouting to see what our opponent's doing. We have shifting sands as well. That's going to be a huge god power to use, so you have to be very, very careful when you use it. You have a lot of different options now with the shifting sands in order to get super value. If you're playing on extended edition, you get a little bit more potential value out of it because you can grab a couple of early villagers. If you grab the villagers at 4 minutes, it's really, really good. But if you can also grab some army with it as well, that's the most value you can possibly get. So on Voobly, however, you can only grab army. So we are looking to cause some chaos, force some army out, and then shifting sands that back into our base. That's going to slow our opponents down quite a lot. So barracks is up. We're going to start building those spearmen. Remember, you can possibly, if you have the resources, you can possibly just build all of the spearmen at once, just all 5 of them, and not have to worry about it. Otherwise, put it on auto queue and you'll be okay. I did get Husbandry first. If I missed that there, Husbandry was the first upgrade that I grabbed. That's super important. Just in terms of, I'm going to be grabbing my herdables. They're going to be very, very helpful, very safe. Don't have to worry about too much. You can see there's Valkyries in my base. I don't want to deal with those. I do see a random house here, and my opponent's going for a second town center. So this gives me all of the happiness that you can feel. I take all of the infantry away, and if I had a box here, that would be also good, but I don't like building the box. It's a little bit too slow, and instead, I'm not really even looking to kill those there. I'm just looking to delay his second town center because he obviously wants it, and I'm like, dude, if you want to take your second town center, go ahead. I'm more than happy to combat your second town center with some other cheeky shenanigans. So spearmen have stopped. I grabbed Pickaxe. And when you're not going for fast second town centers, these economic upgrades become a lot more important to grab early. And that's why we got that early wood on the lumber camp. And it's also going to mean, because we got it so early, we can get all these upgrades and get Shaduf and be completely fine. So we're just messing around now, trying to clean up these units because he's running straight past my pharoah as well. Going to prevent that town center completely from going up, and then just going to look for some raids. We've got 5 spearmen. They cost 5. They have 5.0 speed, so they're the fastest infantry on Voobly. Obviously, you have the Kopesh, which are a bit faster, or base infantry. You do have obviously Ulfsark, which can come up to 5.2 something, 5.28, I believe. But unupgraded, these spearmen kind of fly around the map, and they're really, really good scouting units as well. And you're going to see a little bit later here that they're also got another added benefit, which is you get a very, very, very nice early locust on your opponent because you've got those spearmen to path block. So that's going to be something you want to be looking forward to, not losing your spearmen willy-nilly. So when you're doing this, you can't just be, you're not really looking for fights at this point. You're just looking for harass and just trying to be nice and slow with your spearmen in terms of taking what fights you want to take. Make sure you keep most of them alive, micro as best as you can, take small engagements if you can, and be fine. So you should be aiming for somewhere around 8 minutes into the heroic age when you do this build. 8 minutes 30 on the later end, and I think I might have just forgot to click up. There we go. So it's about 8:30, I think, in terms of the advanced time with Ra here. If you're playing Set, it's so much better for Set because Set can get the priest to just walk around, convert animals, and just bring them into his base, completely safe and very, very quick to gather from. So you're going to be able to advance even faster than Ra. However, Ra's advantage does come a little bit later, though there's a little bit of discussion to be had there for Set as well, in terms of the rain allowing us to propel ourselves into a really, really big timing push with some super strong upgraded spearmen. But we go into the heroic age now. So we've basically had 5 villagers on gold this entire time. We put the rest onto food. It's a brain dead build order. 5 gold, rest onto food. We built an armory with the first villager that came out of our town center. And then once we clicked up to the heroic age, we just put a bunch of villagers over onto gold. I think in this video, it's like, in this game I put 13, but it's really, I don't really have a specific number here at this point in the build. It's just kind of do what you will, because we're going to be fine either way, so long as we have enough there on both of them. You can see I've got extra food here, so I probably could have put a little bit more onto gold, and it'd be fine. I'm going to get that market up, and we get the rock out. So early rock, 8:30 rock, fantastic. Let's go harass our opponent. So they have to deal with the rock, they have to deal with the spearman, they have to deal with a potential locust. My opponent's casting rain here, so that's going to be slowing down my early locust, which is a bit sad. But I do click advance, and that's going to be a roughly 10-minute, is that right? 10-minute, 30-second Mythic age. Which is quite fast. It's not the fastest you can do, but you did put pressure on. You have already got value out of your shifting sands, and the locust is going to come down. Because of the lag here, the locust comes out just a little bit too late. I get four dwarf kills, which is fantastic, and I push him off the gold for that entire point of time. That's more the reason we're going for that. We want to slow his resources down as much as possible. So that's whatever the locust time is. I can't see it on my screen. It's like 20 seconds or something, 25 seconds. So not having gold gathered for that long is going to be huge. He has to go somewhere else. And if he does choose to go somewhere else, and we have a cheeky Avenger we can send in, and we also have our cheeky rock that can come and harass his back gold mine here. So it's all about delaying. We're going to start throwing up our farms here. Now, it doesn't matter exactly how many farms you get up here. As long as you get up around like 10 to 12 before you cast rain, it's totally fine. You don't really want to overdo it because you need that gold to be making spearmen as well. But you do want to get those farms coming down and then casting rain. So you can see I'm waiting until I'm in the Mythic Age. I'm going to Tornado, and then I am going to cast rain. This is going to give me a huge food spike in order to spam out all the spearmen, get all the upgrades I want, and then my opponent, in all of his scramble to recover, he's then going to have to deal with some incredibly strong spearmen to come through. Now you can see I didn't take those 2 villagers off of wood for this entire game either. They're still getting that wood slowly. It's going to be useful for plow, irrigation, flood control, shaft mine, etc. When you cast your tornado, you need to make sure that you cast it to the bottom right of the town center. It moves up and to the left. So just think up and to the left, that's where your tornado is going to be moving, whichever way, well, if your camera is pointed in the default view, of course. So now that we're in the next age, we grab the town center, we're spamming spearmen out, we're ready to go, we're getting the boom happening. We can even start making some camel caravans here as well if we so choose. Not a bad idea considering we are technically probably going to be behind the far second town center, but that in terms of the villages, but they will be behind in terms of resources. So not total resources necessarily, but in terms of like the value that they've managed to get from their town center, because they have to spend 700 resources getting it. And then there's another thing to get into here, which is in regards to farms and how they slow you down as well. But I'm going to leave that for this video, maybe save that for another video. Just know that I don't like farms for anyone other than Ra. And yeah, we'll leave it there. But so I've got my medium spears. I'm going to be looking. I've got my my Horus upgrade. The HP upgrade is the one you want to prioritize, unless your opponent's got mass cavalry or something that's going to be tough for your spearmen to deal with, and you want to get the other one, greatest of the 50, I guess, Spear of the Horizon. And we're just slowly grabbing our upgrades for our spearmen, getting aggressive. We are so far in front of our enemy. If this was a 1v1, then you can just simply kind of all in here with all of the spearmen with your champion upgrades. You can see I'm just clicking that one up there straight away. We've got nearly full population. We've got 3 town centers coming up at some point, and honestly, we just kind of do whatever we want at this point. Rad doesn't slow down here just because you went fast to the Mythic Age. Everything keeps coming out, and because you don't have to spend like crazy amounts of gold on a Migdol, plus crazy amounts of resources on a Migdol, and we're just skipping all the Migdol units for Super Spearmen. Now, Super Spearmen are a late game unit. This is a unit you want to transition into, and we've got this out. Champion Spearmen, we've got this out by 13 minutes. So we don't need to build a Migdol. Like, we really don't. Even if our opponent goes like full throwing axemen, if they're only medium throwing axemen, our champion Spearmen with Spear of the Horizon, I think it's Spear of the Horizon, it might be greatest of the 50, but one of the two, our Spearmen will beat medium infantry throwing axemen. So you don't even have to worry. You don't have to do anything until later in the game if things go kind of south. Now, We've got map control. We've got all the spearmen now. We can grab town centers. We can go up 4 to 2 town centers. You can see how many resources. Everything's going very well. Just play fundamentals here, get our technologies out, get the economic upgrades out, then go for armory upgrades. Make sure we're getting our villages pumping out quickly. Going to be like getting our other upgrade here, there it is, the greatest of the 50 as well when we can afford it. So now, just as a little bit of an aside, like say you're trying to do this build with Set, you guys say, well, hang on, you said that this Set's like more consistent. How can Set be more consistent than Ra here, who's got all this crazy amount of resources from the farming? And I say, look, doesn't exactly apply to Extended Edition, but on Vubly, the hippo of Set costs 4 favor. All you have to do is not get Greatest of the 50 or not get Spear of the Horizon, and you're going to be able to just simply utilize 2 monuments plus making Hippo of Set, and you're going to be able to hunt for the rest of the game. You never have to farm. Set players do not have to farm. You don't want to throw up a Migdol stronghold. You don't want to get any myth units out. You just want to mass hippos in your base, make spearmen, get the strong spearmen out, and then just keep massing them, and fine, you'll be great. And the other thing is you also don't have to get Shaduf with Set until much later, until you feel like it's a bit much to just to not have that favor in your bank, or you can possibly just get more monuments out and just eat hippos for the rest of your days. Anyways, that's kind of the build here. I'm going to leave it. We're in such a commanding position here. The game's over. They can very, very comfortably resign at this point. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, leaving a comment about how much you've been enjoying destroying your opponents with this build. It's very similar to the Fuji style, and it's very, very fun. And I'll see you guys in the next game.